Hey folks, right, you wonder probably why I'm sitting here with a coat on, but I've just come in from a mate's house. I've just been round there to see some friends tonight, and they said to me, oh, you never guess what's coming on tonight, 9:15, BBC One Horizon programme about Comet Ison, just up your street. So, oh yes, good. Anyway, we sit down and watch this video. No, it wasn't a video, it was a BBC programme, and the first thing it said is, Comet Ison can do one of three things. It can A, disintegrate as it goes into the sun, just like Comet Lovejoy did in 2011. So I said to my mates, oh yeah, watch this, because obviously I've seen the videos that we all have. It went round the sun, came back out and grew wings. It never showed that. It was a blatant lie. It just said it disintegrated as it went into the sun. I was thinking, right, that's absolutely ridiculous. What is going on here? I watched the programme, it was stupid. It was just all about, do comets bring water to the earth? Well, we probably know that, like, maybe it's come from the sun, because people say the sun's full of water. So it made me think, right, there's what's going on here with the BBC filming a programme, showing it tonight with a blatant lie, point one, about Comet Ison. It's basically telling you, the whole thing was it's not going to survive. The message of that was it's not going to survive going around the sun. So anyway, there was also lots of other things where it showed you how they had sent stuff out to land on comets. So the other video that I did about has it been planted with nuclear bombs is actually quite feasible, but I've just got to tie up some other stuff here. I mean, I am terribly waffly, as you know, in videos, but I've actually written some notes here, which is quite shocking for me, just to talk through all of this stuff, because it all ties in also with Doctor Who. Now, I don't normally watch that much mainstream telly, but over the past few weeks I've been knitting. I kind of get my little knitting craze on this time of year. I've been sat there with my daughter and we watch telly together. It's quite nice in a winter evening, sit there doing bits of knitting, watching British Bake Off or whatever we're watching. And I'm noticing there's all these trailers coming up for big episode coming up, 50 years of Doctor Who, and it's being filmed tonight. It was filmed tonight. And I also saw, while I was watching some of this television, that the three doctors, or people that play in this Doctor Who, went to the Queen's. They went to the palace. They didn't met the Queen, but they had an audience at the palace. So by now I'm thinking, this is interesting. It's all coming up this weekend, isn't it? The same weekend as the Ison sort of capitulation. And also, it's 50 years of Doctor Who. 50 years also of, well, I'll come to that something else. I'm following down notes I've made here. So you'll think, just stick with this Doctor Who, because if you've watched all my other videos, but I don't know if you have, about how we've linked in the past the snowman, Doctor Who theme. I'm jumping down with notes, but anyway, Doctor Who, remember this, is a time traveller. He travels through time. That is what the Doctor is. He's a time traveller. Now, in order to programme events so that they all ended up happening at this weekend, you would have had to have come from the future and planned it backwards, so you knew what you were starting 50 years previously. This might sound like a load of whatever, but carry on, stick with it. So just to recap for you, if you didn't know about why I'm talking about the snowman and the abominable snowman. Ages ago now, Danny Walton did this video because he found this map of why is there a map of craters on the moon called the snowman, and it's something, and it was in the Vatican, or why? Oh yeah, that was it. It was imposed. This snowman picture of craters on the moon was imposed over the Vatican, and it was on NASA site. You'll have to look back through my other videos if you want to watch that. And I was intrigued about this snowman because when you look at how the picture of Egypt is on the map, and how Danny's mapped that from the Orion Nebula, and how it is actually mapping from Egypt up there, to me that looks like this is this picture of a snowman. So that's what spiraled me off into thinking about snowmen, abominable snowman. And I looked into all this storyline of the abominable snowman with Doctor Who, because the abominable snowman were in Doctor Who, so that's covered that. Now, just recently I discovered something else, just this last week, because I thought, I stirred up all this Doctor Who thinking about the snowman, and I did a little bit more research on the internet about the abominable snowman, and I found in 1963, again 50 years ago, it was episode 40 of something called, what was it called, Astro Boy. And 50 years ago they did an episode, you can watch it yourself, it's on YouTube, called The Abominable Snowman. And when you actually watch this video, which I've watched, as I say, on YouTube, it's actually not much to do with an abominable snowman. It's all about this dictator who 2,000 years ago wants to kick off the Roman Empire, the new Roman Empire, 2,000 years ago, and fill it full of robotic slaves. Is that a coincidence that that was 1963 as well? And I think that was also the year that Doctor Who started. Now, what have I got here? I can't even read my own writing. Something special. Doctor Who special, BBC. Yes, it's 50 years of Doctor Who special. Ah, now the storyline. I haven't watched this Doctor Who specials on tonight, but I did a bit of research about that on the internet. And it's all about a dark doctor, apparently. There's 3 of the doctors that have been, and then there's this dark doctor. So it's the same story, isn't it? It's this same theme of a hero that we've followed for years, and all of a sudden we found out he's not such a hero. Now, I've never been keen on Harry Potter. My oldest daughter, who's, I think she's 23 now, she read a couple of stories when they first came out, the first books, but my youngest daughter, who's 12, you know, I think she watched one episode of a film once round at her grandma's house. But I said to them, I don't want her watching Harry Potter, and she's not read any of the Harry Potter books, so it's always given me a really bad feeling. And not surprisingly so, because Harry Potter, well, apart from the fact that it's probably laced with all kind of hidden symbolism and dark satanic bumbo jumbo, but the storyline of that, as I understand from people that have followed Harry Potter, is that actually it gets darker and darker as the films go on. So in other words, it's the same thing. Someone fluffy that you grow up with, like Harry Potter, or yes, blah blah, isn't it cool, ends up actually leading you into quite a darker place. And Harry Potter, right? So the other thing is, I'm just better follow my notes now of Harry Potter. So looking into all this as I've done recently, thinking, right, what's going on with that? Well, apparently at the end of the Harry Potter film, last film, there was the trailer coming up for The Rise of the Dark Prince, or The Rise of the Dark Knight, whichever it's called, which obviously is the Batman film. Now, you'll know from all the other, if you watch the other videos, about how they've had like images of the map in there. It's linked. It was all linked, and if YouTube worked the way it did before, then I could probably have, put this video to that and link it all, but I can't do that, especially not well with all this Google nonsense, and videos won't load up the same way as they did. You have to go to YouTube. So you have to bear with me that it's not set out in a coherent fashion. But to my mind, Harry is the Dark Prince. I'm talking about Prince Harry, royals. Harry is the Dark Knight. Is that what he's called? Yeah, the Dark Knight, because the knight is a prince. And Harry Potter, oh, they're both called Harry. That's a coincidence. Now, you might say, oh, it's just mumbo jumbo. What's she talking about? Now, I'm going to link it back again now to the royals, because then we go to where are we? Yeah, the Olympics in London. Now, there again, I didn't watch much of that, but I did watch the opening ceremony of the Olympics, which was very, very strange. I don't know if you happened to watch it, but it had got the most odd things there, and one of the things that it got in there was J.K. Rowling reciting Harry Potter in Latin. I mean, the whole thing was a complete, it was very strange. There was lots of weird things that went on with all of that. And at the end of the Olympics, which was another video I did, at the closing ceremony, which, for the young royals, they've watched it all. I mean, I know Prince William did a lot of campaigning to get it there. All of a sudden, at the last minute, they didn't send William, they sent Harry for the final finale of the last night of the Olympics with Kate, William's wife, which was odd. But that's it. It's like the rise of the Dark Knight. It's like suddenly he's given a prominent role. And I don't know if it was before that but after that, all of a sudden we had pictures of Harry flashing himself with no clothes on in Las Vegas, and Princess whatever she's called, Princess Kate Williams, Mrs., being photographed, putting sun cream on. Well, you just don't do that when you're royal. She was by a road. Oh, the screen's gone off now. Anyway, thing is, right, so we know all about those links. It's all linked back to the Olympics. It's all come together this weekend. And of course, also 50 years since they're saying, I don't know what date it was, but JFK was shot in Dallas. You know, the other thing is, you'll say, well, what's the Queen got to do with Comet Ison? Well, it is all linked. All of this is all linked. You know, I did another video because there was in our news, well, a little while back now, probably in whenever people started talking about Comet Ison, we had this other comet that suddenly was in the news called the QE2, Queen Elizabeth II. Oh, what a surprise. So it was Queen Elizabeth II and Ison. And that's what first made me thinking this is connected. And we also did all that other stuff because the Olympics followed on just after the Queen's 60th Jubilee. And there was all that stuff, weird stuff about how she got presented with this weird hat in a strange way. They've got irises on it. Isis. Isis means Isabel, which also means Elizabeth. The name means the same. Ison, Isis, Queen Elizabeth. The whole lot's linked, in my opinion. This whole point of why I've come to tell you about this video, and I'm sorry if you managed to listen to all this waffle, you've done well. But you know, you just feel like I've got to just sort of like just get it all off my chest and say, you know, don't worry about this. Maybe the plan is that they were going to make sure that something happens with Comet Ison, that it's definitely not going to go around the sun. But I couldn't believe the blatant way that the BBC lied blatantly about Comet Lovejoy. Now, I remember in 2011, that week, just before Christmas, because I was real high then, I was really floating around in some kind of love bubble. I was such a nice vibe, Christmas 2011, it was untrue. And I remember watching the news for a week. It seemed to be a very illuminating time. Lots of stuff that came up in the paper that I read about was very uplifting. And I remember that was when Comet Lovejoy went round the sun. I remember thinking, oh, what a lovely name is Comet Lovejoy, that it goes round the sun like that. Why does the BBC produce this Horizon programme that says blatantly, just doesn't say what happened with Comet Lovejoy in 2011? If you're in the UK, obviously just go and watch the programme on BBC iPlayer and you'll see exactly what I mean. It was just a blatant lie. So if they've lied about that, what other stuff have they lied about? Something else I just want to say as well about the BBC. I mean, when you looked on, as I've looked to try and find out what the storyline was for these Doctor Who programmes, which was also filmed tonight, or shown tonight, it said only on BBC America. Although it's all to do with BBC America. And Doctor Who, you know, this is all linked. Oh, one final last thing, which you'll just think, oh, she's off a trolley, but whatever, probably am. But think about this Doctor Who. Now, WHO, which obviously spells Who, also stands for the World Health Organisation, for which we've got Doctor, World Health Organisation. Is that one more silly coincidence? Maybe it's not. But the whole point is if this has all been constructed, you would have had to have done it from the future to plot it back to this kind of like spiral in time. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen. I think despite all this kind of nonsense that maybe they are trying to do, I believe in humanity. I believe in us being uplifted. You know, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's all going to sort of kill us all. But I just thought, but I like to just, you know, stay ahead of the game, because that way, you know, we can sort of like send out positive thoughts and hopefully, you know, rise above it. But just one last final thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to load up this video. I'll just be quick. 13:54. You know, how do you feel at the minute? Because personally, myself, I did feel when Ison went past Mars, I felt it. I felt quite quite aggroed actually that weekend, which is not normally how I am. I did a video about that, and quite a few other people commented that they had felt aggroed that weekend. Myself at the minute, I do feel a bit like, actually, please just stop all this nonsense. I've had enough of it. Technology, you know, I do really feel at the minute, if I could sort of like cut myself off from it, obviously I'll have to do it with this, but the whole shebang, I feel a bit like, oh, introverted. I feel like this at the minute, you know, oh, no, I just want to lock myself away, you know, don't talk to me. You know, I don't mind talking to my mates, but generally speaking, it's like, I just want to sort of like be enclosed in a bubble. It could just be the time of the year. It could just be my personal thing. But actually, is this a bit kind of like how we're resonating with this? you know, this might sound crazy, but if the sun, if we have our own sun, our internal sun in our brains, if we're all a reflection of everything, is it that we are kind of like thinking, whoa, this comet's coming towards us? Maybe we're kind of like bracing ourselves for this impact. I don't think that, as I said, I don't think that anything major is going to happen. I hope it's not. Who knows? I'm sure we'll be okay. But, you know, if something major happens, folks, well, so long and thanks for all the fish. And it's been great talking to you all on YouTube. And I've loved doing my YouTube videos. And I hope I can upload this video. And I hope this has not been too long and waffly. But the facts, irrespective of whether or not you think all of this is twaddly bum, you know, linking it all together nonsense, the facts are that I've just been round at my mate's house and we've watched some, you know, this stupid programme put out by the BBC Horizon, which has blatantly lied about Comet Ison. Well, yeah, Comet Ison, the thing about Lovejoy. It said that it went into the sun, and the whole premise was, you know, Ison's not going to make it. But is that, you know, who knows what's going on, folks, but I just thought I'd better do this little video, which has turned into quite a long, waffly video, 16 minutes now, so I'm going to go. So thanks then, bye.